Hi and good afternoon, everyone. I'm Dr. Ishita, Manager Corporate Wellness from Prudent Insurance Brokers. And I would like to thank you all for joining us on the special World Environment Day edition on eco-friendly closet. World Environment Day is just round the corner, a day dedicated to generating awareness about the need to save nature, environment, especially with the rise in pollution and CO2 emissions. The fashion industry might not be the first that comes to mind when we talk about super user of fossil fuels, but it will be surprising to note that today fashion industry accounts to up to 10% of global carbon dioxide output, more than international flights and shipping combined, as per a United Nations Environment Programme study. It also accounts for close to 300 million tons of plastic produced globally every year. Garments made from polyester and other synthetic fibers are a prime source of microplastic pollution, which is especially harmful to our environment. So, what can we do as individuals? Today, we will be exploring all about eco-conscious fashion choices and deep dive into various facets of creating a more sustainable closet, thereby contributing to a greener tomorrow. Let me introduce our speaker for today, Ms. Sujata Chatterjee, founder and MD Twirl Store, a sustainable clothing brand and a social entrepreneur. She will help us understand how we can create and have a more conscious approach towards fashion and sustainability. I'll hand over the session with that to you, Sujata.
Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. It's such a honor and it's a real pleasure to be able to have this discussion with all of you, and especially now as we are approaching Environment Day. Though, I like to believe that we now live in times where we should treat every day as Earth Day and Environment Day. But how can we do that? We can actually do that by doing the very simple things. And I think, being conscious in terms of our fashion choices or in terms of the way we organize our wardrobe, that's one of the easiest things we do. So having said this, let me start, my slideshow and share it with all of you and take the discussion forward. So as I mentioned, I'm Sujata. I'm the founder of Twirl Store. However, I was not always working in the realm of sustainable fashion. Rather, I was right on the opposite side of this spectrum. I'm an engineer by degree, and I used to work in an IT sector. But it was at one time that I felt it in my own life, the way we as individuals and as consumers we were creating, and that actually led me to deep dive into the problem of fashion. And at that time, I started doing some research, and my research led me to realize that this is a huge socio-environmental problem, but we often don't even get to know about it. And so I made it my life's mission to share this, whatever little I learned, to share it with all of you so that at least next time you can make a more conscious choice. So today, let's discuss about how to have a conscious closet. What is a sustainable approach to fashion? What do we mean when we say eco-friendly fashion? Eco-fashion is nothing but, putting together products, processes, activities, and of course, people together. If we can put all this together in a way that the fashion industry becomes carbon neutral, and if we can help build it on more of a social justice and ecological integrity. But you know what? Our habit is whenever, it's an issue related to, say, the environment or society, we tend to think, the government's going to take care of it. The bigger industries are going to take care of it. We don't really see our role in it. However, in this case, we have a huge role to play in it. So I think the first and probably the most important step, at least in terms of eco-friendly fashion, is that we recognize that we the individuals, we the consumers, have a huge role to play in this. So how do we do that, and why should we do that? Let's dive into that. So fashion industry, the facts about the fashion industry, I think that is probably one of the best well-kept secrets in today's times. So you will probably have still heard a lot of, discussions and panels on very serious issues like air pollution, plastic pollution, and things like that, which are extremely important issues. But very few of you, or probably none of you, have ever heard a discussion on, the adverse effects of the fashion industry. So what that actually means is we don't get to hear or know about the startling facts. We don't really get to understand how terrible the impact of the fashion industry is also on the world around us. So though we don't get to know about it, the fashion industry is actually the second most polluting industry in the world. Yes, the second most polluting industry in the world is nothing else but the fashion industry. The clothes that we choose, we wear, are adding up to that. So why do we say that? Why do we say that the fashion industry is the second biggest pollutant, and why is it having such an adverse impact? Well, it is at every stage of, production, consumption, every stage of the chain. So when a fabric is made, for it to be converted into a garment or a product, every time a fabric is made, it actually takes up a lot of our natural resources like water. So when we go in for constant consumption, when we go in for fast fashion, when we are constantly, draining the environment of natural resources like water, of course, that's going to have an adverse impact, and it's going to have an adverse impact directly on our cities and our country as well. So the fact that fabric takes up so much of water and other resources is one of those things that we don't realize. I'm sure, in this summertime, most of you are sitting wearing a cotton shirt, as you enjoy this session. Do you know, to make that cotton shirt or that cotton kurti, it's actually taken as much water as you would drink in 2.5 years. I'll pause a minute maybe for you to take in that yes, that shirt alone has taken as much water as you would drink in 2.5 years. Now, when you discard that piece of clothing after maybe you wearing it just once or a few times, or never at all, it's not about that one piece of clothing. It's about all the resources and the effort that has gone into making that fabric as well. That's how the wastage starts. Then, of course, the fashion industry causes a huge amount of carbon emission. I'm pretty sure most of you have multiple pairs of denims, but every time, we make and wash a pair of denims, we are emitting as much as carbon as going 69 miles in a car. To make and wash that one pair of denim, I'm repeating it, is as good as emitting carbon of a 69 miles car drive. That's the kind of impact our clothing has. And now it's become a trend to keep using artificial dyes, to use synthetic fibers in the production process. There are horrific stories, which are, most of the time kept well hidden, but there are horrific events of these artificial dyes actually polluting rivers. The color of the water of the rivers are getting changed because of these dyes that are seeping in and, thereby affecting the entire environment around the river. And synthetic fibers, well, absolutely, that is one of the reasons that we now find microplastics anywhere and everywhere. And those microplastics in turn are coming back to us, coming back inside our bodies in some way or the other. And to ensure that there is this constant, range of clothing, there is this constant flow of, seasonal wear and fast fashion, we've now got to a stage where we are putting workers through inhuman conditions. They are not getting neither the right pay nor the right privileges. but they are under huge pressure to constantly churn out clothing because we have to meet a constant demand of the market. The social disparity is not closing. The social disparity actually is getting wider and going to a worse stage because we've become so insensitive to these issues. And lastly, through all this entire process, there's a huge amount of fabric wastage that is created. It's created at every stage. Of course, manufacturers, when they manufacture, they tend to have some amount of fabrics left over, or some amount of wastage created. But again, at the retailer stage, at the wholesaler stage, there are rejects, there are dead stock. And there are even stories of all this not just not being used or being wasted, but of them reaching to a landfill. And this does not stop there with the manufacturer, the wholesaler, the retailer. This problem extends up to us, the shopper. We shop endlessly, and then we realize we have too much of too many things, and then we don't know what to do with it. So we either discard it, waste it, or do we also send it to the landfill? This problem of things lying around is also considered wastage. Of course, it's a huge issue when it reaches up to the landfill, but even if it is just kept, discarded, and not used to its full potential, it's considered as wastage. And to give you an idea of how big the problem is, let me tell you what the World Economic Forum report states. The report tells us that up to 60%, yes, up to 60% of clothes being produced in today are actually lying around somewhere unused or underused and thereby wasted. So I hope that gives you an idea of what this entire problem, that first we're draining the environment for our needs, we're putting workers through so much, but then whatever we are creating, up to 60% of that, we're not even using to our full potential. So there is a real problem. But what can we do to solve it? Well, as I told you, the best thing we can do is not turn a blind eye to it. The best thing we can do is not say that that's not my problem or I can't help. You can help. As is true in most cases and in most industries, but I think it is even more true for the fashion industry. The industry is bound to and has always responded to its consumers. When you become conscious about the problem, when you start talking about it, everyone in this chain who is responsible for adding to this problem in small way or the other, they will try to find a solution to it. So we can take the first step and be conscious about the problem. And by being conscious about the problem, what can we do? Just do two things. Be a conscious shopper and start keeping a conscious wardrobe. Now, this is not as easy as it sounds. It's actually very easy, but it's not as easy today because we're now living in a world of a retail boom where everything around us is kind of pushing us the other way, trying to make us, ignorant of these facts and figures. But from today onwards, let's take a pledge to be a little more conscious in terms of our shopping and in terms of maintaining our wardrobe. So how can you be a conscious shopper? Well, first thing is, let's decide why you're buying. What's the real reason you're buying? I remember a time when, when we were younger, we used to buy clothes twice a year. Once for, Durga Puja or Diwali, and once for, Bengali New Year. And maybe we would get something new on our birthday as well. But that was about it. Today, we buy, I think, every weekend when we go to the mall. So we have lost now sight of why we are buying it. But I think if we come back to that basic question, why? Next time we want to buy something, let's ask that. Why are we buying it? It could be that we need it, or it could be there is an occasion, a family function, a festival, something coming up for which we need it. But what is the reason? Let's at least try and identify it. That always helps. And if we can't even identify a need to ourselves, maybe we can just take a small pause and think if we really should be buying at that time. Because as I was telling you, our excess buying is also adding to the problem. Following this is, of course, as I told you, while you are trying to ask yourself these questions about why you should do something, the rest of the world, or at least the retail world, is going to try and push you in the other direction. So don't fall prey to the marketing and retail strategies. They're there for a reason. Of course, they're doing their job, but you can do yours by, avoiding them. So we live in this world now where there are constantly discounts and sales, where every day the first page of the newspaper carries news of a new, end of season sale. And every time we step into a shop, there is going to be a great offer there, which tells you that you can buy 5 pairs of denims at this great price. And of course, we get attracted to that. But that's when you need to ask yourself that, why do you need 5 pairs of denims? You probably do need denims. Of course, that is the right answer. You do need denims. Maybe you needed 1 pair of new denims. Okay, since, they look really great, you're considering buying 2 pairs. Till that, it's fine. But do you really need to buy the 3rd or the 4th pair, or even more, because they're giving it to you a great price? I understand they're giving it, it's probably 5 for the price of 3 or whatever. But what are you going to do with those other 3? These are, very simple. Often it might seem like silly questions, but very pertinent. If you dig deep, that's very pertinent. So do not fall for these strategies. Use them when you can, when they are to your advantage, but don't let your choices be guided by them. That's my humble request. The third thing I'd like to point out is, even if we discard, the thoughts of the environment, the society and all that, when we do shop for something, we should at least be kind to ourselves. We should at least consider ourselves. When we're buying something, shouldn't we think if this fabric is sustainable, if it's comfortable, if it's going to last for some time? In the weather that we live in, is this fabric or this piece of clothing suitable for that? Am I going to be able to reuse that? Or, after a single use, am I going to realize that it is so uncomfortable that I really cannot repeat this outfit ever again? Would that really benefit you in any way? Similarly, often I get into this discussion with people who feel that, fast fashion is cheap. So, why not go for these things? And first of all, I like to believe that, nothing is actually cheap or nothing. So if you're not paying the price, then someone else is, either the environment or the society. But even if we come back to us as individuals, when we buy something at a really throwaway price, we think it's a great deal. But then we see after a single use or after 2 washes, it doesn't last, and we have to again buy something and then again buy something. Are we really saving money also that way? I can think back to many of my mother's, even my grandmother's saris, which have stood the test of time. And I, being a lover of saris, I still wear them today. That's, I think, long lasting, and I think that's value for money, that they can last forever and ever. So when you are making your shopping choices, maybe consider for yourself, not even for the world, but for yourself, if what you're choosing is the right choice for you. Also, I'd like to request to you not to follow trends blindly. We are now in a world where there's unending trends, and we will keep having autumn, fall, and various seasons and changing fashion. But you can't keep changing your wardrobe every time. It's not practical and it's not feasible also. So don't fall for this. Stay true to yourself if possible. If, as I keep saying, if there's something you really like, go for it. But don't go for it because everyone else is going for it, or that's just the in thing to do this week. And don't fall for social pressure also. Often we choose to go shopping because there are deeper issues somewhere else. We choose to blindly pick up things because we think that's going to make us feel better, or solve some other problem going on in our lives. Those are temporary fixtures. That's not, it yourself that that's not really going to help. So why pile up your wardrobe to solve some other deeper problem? Let's not get into those things. And lastly, but I think most importantly, my earnest request always is that we support local, we support ethical brands, we support our own craftswomen. We in India are blessed that we have so much art and culture around us. We have so many talented craftswomen around us, and we have so much, beautiful, locally available clothing, and other accessories around us. Why not support them? And if we don't, then who will? So, this I think is a request that I always make, that every time when we buy, if we keep going for the bigger names, the bigger brands, the foreign brands, then who will support our own? So that is a request that I always think you should keep in mind next time you are a shopper. But of course, just being a conscious shopper is not enough, because our wardrobes are already crowded, right? So before I go forward, I think I'll just pause for a minute and ask, how many of you have at least some things in your wardrobe that you don't, wear anymore, or you're not going to wear again? How many of you have some unwanted things in your wardrobe? Let's be honest, and maybe if you can put it on the chat, why, or a yes if you agree with me that some of you have things lying around in your homes or wardrobes that you don't need. So let me pause a minute and see if this is a problem with others around me. And I'll tell you why I've asked this question also while we are waiting for the answers to come in. So I told you that I'm not from this industry, and I now work here. But the actual reason why I was, I think propelled towards this change was the state of my own wardrobe. So it was at one point in my life when I realized my own wardrobe was too full of things that I knew I would never wear again. I didn't wear that color anymore. I didn't fit that size anymore. And there were so many things lying there that I knew I was not going to use again. And yet they were just lying there. So, this photo of me at the side is kind of represents the state I was in at that point. I was surrounded by clothes, none of which I had any use for. So I hope some people in the audience can, resonate with that. Yes, Ishita?
Almost everyone resonates with the same thought. I've got a whole lot of yeses in the chat and quite a few raised hands. Everyone seems to be having almost half a wardrobe full of clothes that probably they're not using.
Absolutely, exactly. And this is such a real scenario. So when I personally faced this problem, what I did was what I did right now, as I ask all of you. I actually did the same thing at that time also. I started asking my friends and family around me. I told them, I have this problem that I have so much of things that I not using, but I don't want to waste it, and what can I do with it, or how can I, organize this? Because no matter how well I organize my wardrobe, it would just not all fit in there. The thing was, everybody I asked, they told me we have the exact same problem. Just like most of you have responded, everyone told me we have the exact same problem. But most people, I mean 99.9%, everyone told me we don't know the solution to this either. You know, you just cram it here, cram it there, under the bed, over this, under that. But we don't know. No one could tell me the clear way out from this. And today, after working in this industry for over 5 years now, let me tell you that, you know, just hiding it here and there does not solve the problem at all. That is exactly what makes the problem worse. So today, I'll tell you what I learned through my journey, and I hope that now onwards it will help you as well. The only way to solve this problem is we have to declutter. And let me tell you, when you declutter your wardrobe or your home, it's not just that you become more sustainable. It's like a life-freeing experience. You'll feel like you've got a new life after that. It is such a freeing experience. So how do we declutter? Because it's very natural that today we have wardrobes full of unwanted things, and it's not always because we've bought it. We receive gifts from others, which always are not suitable for us. We get from so many occasions, and we tend to pile up. So how do we really start this declutter process? Well, let's not complicate it at all. Let's make it as simple as we can. Let's just take 3 big cardboard boxes or 3 big, bags, whatever you have, big shoppers or whatever. Just one weekend, maybe start this way. Take out these 3 boxes or bags, label them Y, N, M. Y stands for the yes. So all the clothing, take out literally everything from your wardrobe or whatever you see around you. All the clothes that you can see yourself wearing now and in the next 9 to 10 months, put that in the Y. I'll stretch it even in the next 1 year, but no more than that. If you can't see yourself wearing that color or that size or that print or that material in the next 1 year, don't put it in the Y. If you can, confidently say that, yes, I am going to put it in the Y bag. You're done. Everything that's gone in the Y bag, this is actually what's going to go back into your wardrobe. Now, N stands for no. As you are sorting out all the things that you know are going to go into the Y bag, you will come across some things which you know from inside you are not going to use those. You're not going to use those now. You're not going to use those anytime ever again, probably. Or maybe you've never used it. It's probably in a brand new condition. You knew when you got it or received it from someone also that was not suitable for you, but it's just taking up space in your wardrobe. Put that in the N bag. Of course, I'm going to tell you what to do with these bags as well. But for now, at least sort it and put it in that N bag. Do that sorting. These are things you are neither going to use nor are you attached to. Put them clearly there so that they are no longer cluttering your wardrobe. Next comes the M. The M stands for 2 things. The M stands for a maybe. The M also stands for memories. Now, there are certain clothes that we're not sure about. We might want to, we're not sure. I might wear this maybe after a very long time, or or maybe not. So, of course, that doubts come. But more importantly, there are certain clothes or things to which we have emotional attachment. And that's very true. So there are, I had certain things from my mother or my grandmother that I was emotionally attached to. However, those were not suitable for me to, wear or use in the lifestyle or, in the world we live today. So, but those things still meant something to me. So those things I keep in my M bag. So maybe if there is certain gift you receive from someone, it's special to you, but you know you can't use it in the form that it is today. Keep it in the M bag, or something that you really love that print, but you've outgrown the size. Keep it in the M bag. Now, what can you do with all the things you keep in the M bag? I'm going to explain it to you right now, so don't worry. But take the time out and do this. Take the time out and actually sort through. And you know what? Once you do this sorting, you're actually going to see your wardrobe has become at least 50%. The Y bag is going to become somewhere around 50%. So maybe sometime later, I'll take again a feedback from all of you that, you know, how empty does your wardrobe feel now? But coming back to what we were discussing, now that we have, you know, sorted it out, how can we continue the sustainable approach? And how can, because, you know, decluttering is not a one-time activity. You have to keep doing it periodically. So, you know, don't just do it once and never do it again. Maybe make it a ritual that once a year you're going to take out that weekend and do this. But once you've done it, what do you do? So as I said, that Y bag is for you to put back in your wardrobe. And when you put back in your wardrobe, put it back very consciously. Why do I say this? Because that's going to help you reduce and reuse. When we are really conscious of all that we have, then, you know, maybe we can avoid the urge to buy things that we don't really need, because, you know, it's there in our mind. I already have something that's pretty good that can serve this purpose. And it will encourage us to keep reusing. And once you are really clear about what's there in your wardrobe, maybe you can do a bit of mix and match. We don't really always need something new for every single occasion. Often, if you can just pair a certain dupatta with a certain kurti, it takes on a whole new look. So why not try this reuse approach with your now smaller and more controllable wardrobe? So try it and see if that helps your urge of buying something every time. The second thing is distribute and donate. This is more for your N bag. The things that you know you're not going to use, why not distribute them? And when I say distribute, I mean, why not even to your family or friends? You know, for the longest time, we used to have hand-me-downs, but we don't do it, I think, after a certain stage. Even if you don't consider it as a hand-me-down to your sibling, but why not do a swap between friends if possible? So consider that. Or if you find no one around you who has use for those things, why not donate them? Donate them to people around you who need it, or give them to an organization who can put it to a better use. Wouldn't that be a better place for those N clothes than, you know, just lying around in your wardrobe? And lastly, why not upcycle and recycle? So upcycling and recycling is basically reusing your unwanted clothing and making it into something new. Now, recycling actually involves making it into yarns and then remaking it. But upcycling is actually an art by which you take out the fabric of an unwanted product and then remake it into a new range of products. So this is a great option for things in your M bag. So whether you can upcycle them and create new products out of it, as in, of course, you can do it personally as well, or you can give it to organizations who do it as well. And these upcycled products can go out to people at large. You can gift it to someone you want, or maybe you can even keep it for yourself. So like I gave you my personal example that I had certain things from my family members which were precious to me, but I knew that they were just going to rot in my wardrobe. And I did not want them to feel neglected in my wardrobe because I can't wear it. I rather upcycle them. So, you know, into products that I can now see and use every day. For example, you know, heavy saris of my mother, which I can't wear today. I made them into trendy bags, which I can carry with me everywhere. My father's shirts I made into mobile covers, which I carry in my bag every day. Not only, did I put it to a better use, but I actually feel their presence with me now that I have those things actually with me in my daily life, rather than, feeling guilty that I let their favorite things rot away in my wardrobe. So maybe you can consider upcycling as a personal option, or as I said, just in general, for society and environment at large, because every time we upcycle a fabric, we are helping to reduce wastage, and we are helping to conserve our natural resources as well. So having said this, I think now is probably the right time to introduce you to my organization. So as I told you, my organization name is Twirl Store. So this is exactly the work we do at Twirl. So at Twirl, we are trying to reduce fabric wastage. We're trying to conserve our natural resources while continuing production. We meet the needs of the less fortunate, and we support women empowerment. So how we go about it is we collect all the unwanted clothing and fabrics that you might be having lying around in your homes, in your organizations. We collect it from everywhere. A part of this is always distributed to those who need it in the rural areas. It's given to them to use as essentials. The rest of the material, we upcycle that and we create a range of products from it. And this entire process is all done by the rural women. So it gives them a source of livelihood as well. And these talented women manufacturers, they make a range of products like bags, accessories, gift items, home decor, and all this actually goes out again to individuals, to organizations. They go as part of bulk orders, corporate gifting, and we're very happy to say we've even started bulk exports also. But through this entire process, what we're basically trying to do is we are using the wastage of urban societies to spread smiles in the rural community. That is the core work that I do. I use fabric wastage as a mean to bridge the gap between the two ends of society and to ensure that everyone feels good along the process.
So thank you so much for being with us and sharing your thoughts. I thank everyone who's joined this session. And I'll again request everyone to please consider about reduce, reuse, recycle, upcycle, and have a more sustainable tomorrow.